This is Valley News Live at noon.
Authorities are wanting to remind you to slow down after Minnesota troopers responded to several crashes this morning due to the slick roads. This semi rolled on I-94 near exit 15. Minnesota State Patrol says no one was hurt. We'll have a look at the current road conditions, but first, let's go to Summer Schnellbach with a quick look at the weather. Summer?
Yeah, it was a tough travel weekend for many folks, especially with the busy holiday. Lots of folks wanting to travel and see family. Even more snow piling up in the Devil's Lake area. It's nice to see a little bit of blue sky now there. Here's a recent snapshot along I-29 near Pembina. Within the last hour, the road has improved greatly. When I grabbed this snapshot, there were still ice-covered roads, so there are very likely still some slick spots out there. Here's a look at some of the snow that fell over the weekend. 6.1 inches in Walhalla, Devil's Lake, Rugby, and Olga, picking up a half a foot of snow. Lairmore, 5.7, 4.4 in Crookston, 4 in St. Hilaire, Newfoundland, 3.2 in Cormorant and Deer Creek. And there's more. 2.5 inches in Dunvilla and at the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks. The official measurement here in Fargo was 2.1 inches, and at the Grand Forks Airport, 2 inches of snow fell. That snow is gone. We're starting to see some sunshine, so might need the sunglasses this afternoon. We're still hanging on to some wind in the Southern Valley and some of our Minnesota counties with gusts into that 30-mile-per-hour range. But coming up in your hour by hour, we'll go through when we might see our next chance of some rain and some snow and some wind. Enjoy a little bit of a break this afternoon.
Thank you, Summer. Now that fresh snow, though it's gone, it has left behind potentially hazardous road conditions. In North Dakota, a travel alert has been issued in a few northeast counties highlighted here in purple. The DOT is reporting icy and blowing snow in those areas. In fact, most of the state is seeing icy roads. That's what's there in yellow. North and west of Fargo are seeing wet and slushy roads, which is what the blue lines represent. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, road conditions are improving slowly but surely. Most roads in the northwest part of the state are clear, but there are a few areas that have a bit of slush on the road still. That's what you can see there in the blue. The Department of Transportation is also reporting snow-covered roads between Oslo and Drayton and Oslo and Warren. New for you at noon, a truck driver is recovering from injuries after a rollover crash in Ottertail County this morning. Minnesota State troopers say a Freightliner semi was driving west on I-94 in Fergus Falls when it ran off the road and rolled into a ditch. The driver was taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, one man is dead after a snowmobile accident in central North Dakota. State Highway Patrol officials say a 59-year-old man was test riding a snowmobile around 5 yesterday afternoon in Harvey, North Dakota. The snowmobile went airborne when he hit a berm of packed snow and ice, and the man was thrown off. He later died from his injuries in a local hospital. His name has not yet been released. A Minnesota community is grieving after 2 loving parents were murdered in Mexico. All family members know is that the Coon Rapids couple was visiting family last week when they were killed. They leave behind 2 children, a son who's in college and a daughter who's graduating high school. A Mexican newspaper reports the couple was shot while driving. The family has been told police are investigating. A wave of gun violence over the weekend. 2 shootings with multiple victims in South Carolina and a deadly attack in Pittsburgh are part of the growing list of more than 100 mass shootings so far this year. Reporter Nikki Batiste looks at the latest violence and what could be behind it. We must warn you, some of this video may be tough to watch.
He got a gun.
This terrifying video captures the chaotic moments when shooters opened fire on partygoers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, leaving 2 teenagers dead and almost a dozen others injured. Police say at least 90 rounds were fired into the crowd of roughly 200 people, mostly minors, at a party held at an Airbnb rental property. Video shows broken windows where people jumped in an attempt to escape the gunfire. A massive manhunt is still underway to find the shooters.
We owe it to everybody in the city of Pittsburgh to get those that are responsible for this.
The violence was just one of multiple deadly mass shootings this holiday weekend. In Columbia, South Carolina, 22-year-old Joanne M. Price was arrested in connection with Saturday's shooting at a mall that sent shoppers fleeing for safety. 14 people were injured. Price is charged with unlawful carrying of a pistol. A separate South Carolina town was the site of another mass shooting when gunshots rang out at a club early Sunday morning. 9 were injured. The violent weekend is part of a broader trend in violence. This year, there have already been 142 mass shootings.
There's been a huge increase in the number of guns purchased by Americans, and there's been some reductions in the requirements that people have about how they access and carry and own those guns.
John Roman, a senior fellow at NORC at the University of Chicago, says access to guns is one of a combination of factors behind the violence.
How much of a role has the pandemic played in these increases?
Yeah, the pandemic played a huge role in the increase in gun violence in the United States, especially among young men who were separated from all their pro-social supports, from school, from work, from community, from church. They lived in places, where the gun violence is very concentrated, and that led to a cycle of shootings and retaliations, and we're still seeing the repercussions of that cycle.
Nikki Batiste, CBS News.
A California man who went missing as a teen nearly 3 years ago has been found in Utah. Police found Connor Jack Oswalt shivering and cold outside of a convenience store over the weekend. Officials say he eventually discovered that he was reported missing nearly 3 years ago in Northern California, more than 700 miles away. The teen, who has been diagnosed with autism and other mental health conditions, left his family's home in September of 2019 when he was 17 years old. Oswald's family has been searching for him for years, putting up flyers and scanning social media for any leads on his whereabouts. Coming up at noon, visiting an art museum usually means taking in the masterpiece with your eyes. But we'll show you a new exhibit that requires you to follow your nose. But first, winter won't be going away anytime soon. We'll have the latest forecast coming up.